Hi, I know I've been MIA for a minute. We had some sick kids, but I'd like to jump back in and start talking about contracts. Now, whenever you sign a contract on a house, it's going to be about 9 pages, and each page is different and goes on different things. The first page is obviously going to be the parties that are in the contract, the seller and the buyer. The second part of that contract is going to be the property. So it's going to be the lot, block, addition, zip code, that's the address. It's going to talk about improvements. So that's anything that's built onto the house. So appliances, valances, screens, shutters, awnings, wall-to-wall, carpeting, mirrors, anything that's attached to the home has to stay with the home unless you exclude it, which is also on that page. It's also going to talk about the sales price. If you're putting a cash portion down, that's called your down payment. That's going to be subtracted from the loan amount, or to be added to your loan amount, which is going to give you your sales price. And then license holder disclosure. So if I'm related to the buyer or the seller or anything of that nature, or to the title company we're using, I have to disclose it in that portion of the contract. Then it's going to talk about earnest money. Now, I get a lot of questions about earnest money. In the state of Texas right now, North Texas in particular, earnest money is 1% of the sales price. And that is like a show of good faith. That's letting the seller or the buyer, whoever you're doing it for, let them know that you're interested explicitly in the process. Like, you're not, well, we like this one, we kind of like that one, we're going to put multiple offers up kind of thing. It's, I want this house, I'm ready to buy this house, here's X amount of dollars that I'm willing to bring to the table right now. Then the title policy and survey. Usually if you're buying the title policy, you get to pick where the title's coming from. Usually we let the sellers pick the title policy and they pay for it. It's roughly $2,000. The second page is going to be the title commitment, the survey, objections, and title notices. It's a bunch of fancy lingo and it differs per contract. Survey, if I'm representing the buyer, I always ask the seller to provide their existing survey so that it saves us money in the long run. Objections just means if for whatever reason it comes back that it's not a single family resident, we're protected because it's in the contract. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling on my computer. The next page is a bunch of legal jargon. So statutory tax districts, tidewaters, annexation, properly located in a certified service area of utility service, public improvements districts. I could talk about this forever and go over line by line, but we're going to skip it for this video. The next part is the property condition. Usually when we're putting in an offer, we're going to accept the property as is, and then we'll cover any repairs needed in our inspection process. Seller's disclosure. If you live in the home and you're the seller, you're required to fill out a seller's disclosure. The next part is going to be the residential service contracts. As a buyer's rep, I always go to bat for my clients to get them a 1-year home warranty paid for by the seller, or I pay for it myself. Broker's fees. All obligations of the parties for payment of broker's fees are contained in separate written agreements. There's a lot of controversy right now with this because we're under a mega lawsuit. I don't know if you've read it in Forbes. People are displeased that they're having to pay the buyer's commission. Now, there was a time where there wasn't such thing as buyer's rep. It's a good thing now that we have buyer's reps because I'm almost positive hundreds, if not thousands of people were taken advantage of by seller's agents. You wouldn't go to court without a lawyer. You wouldn't go see someone who was a self-proclaimed doctor without a license. It's always best to have representation, always, as a buyer. And then possession. This is if we're going to take possession upon closing and funding, which means we've not only signed, but our loan amount has gone through. Or if we're going to give the seller a few days to move out, that's covered in that page. And then settlements and other expenses. During this paragraph, seller shall also pay an amount not to exceed X amount to be applied in the following order. Usually that's closing cost concessions. That's where we put that amount. And then the next page is prorations, casualty loss, which means if during this process for whatever horrible reason the house gets struck by lightning or hit by a tornado, the seller has to put everything back the way it was. Mediation, you can't sue me, I can't sue you. We have to go talk about it together first. Attorney's fees, whoever is going to prevail in the legal proceedings is entitled to recover reasonable attorney fees and all costs of such proceedings. And then escrow. What escrow is we are holding it through a title company. You're having everything done through a title company. Representations, seller is represented by the selling agent. The buyer is represented by the buyer's agent. Any notices need to go to whatever email address is listed, which is convert unver notices. And then termination option. This is my favorite part of the whole contract, and people don't realize how important this is. An option period is a set amount of days that we pay for with an option period check. So if I need your house for 5 days to have inspections done, that's when that's covered in. So in this contract that I'm looking at, we got the property for 5 days for $100. Kind of standard. When I'm in a multiple offer situation, I'm going to do that less. I'm going to say, we'll give you $200 for 3 days. It makes us look better. But this is the time where you can back out for any reason. So if you are doing your inspection of the house and you're walking through and you're like, my couch isn't going to fit, this light is horrible, I'm just not getting good vibes, we can cancel. We can cancel. We'll get our earnest money back, but we will not get our option money back. So that is about it. And then like the last page is just broker information. So that's just a brief, and I mean super brief rundown of the contracts. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. If you're under contract right now and your agent's not doing a good job at explaining things, just ask. Like, hey, I don't understand this. If they're not answering it, just give me a shout. I'm happy to help. Bye. Thanks, guys.